The 1927 Mississippi Floods. Also known as the Great Mississippi Flood, which overtook 11 different states and the floodwaters never cleared until August of 1927. So, what exactly caused the flooding? The flooding was a result from persistent rainfall over the central United States from summer of 1926 to spring of 1927. When looking at the map to the left, the darker outlines represent the Mississippi River drainage basin, and the gray filled area are the locations affected by the 1927 flooding. All of this water contributes to the mouth of the Mississippi in Louisiana. Due to the rain and the warmer seasons of melting ice, all of this water from 31 states all drained and contributed to the Great Flood. Each year, the Mississippi tends to flood to some extent due to the same causes. So, what was the magnitude of the flooding? The Great Mississippi Flood was the most destructive flood in United States history. The flood extended across Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Kentucky, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and at one point spanned across 80 miles wide. Human-induced climate change has started to affect the river's flow, with dry spells and frequent storms, as well as with temperatures growing. The river is staying unfrozen, which could possibly lead to more frequent flooding in the years. The societal and economical impact. There were 246 flood-related deaths across the states, over 700,000 homeless, and damage costs of $400 million in 1927, or $5 billion today. Flooding left people homeless, starving, and without clothing. It took months for the flooding to recede and years before the land was recovered. The levee system along the river would collapse, and some towns were covered in 30 feet of water. The American Red Cross fed over 600,000 people in relief efforts, and the floods caused people to contract disease from nutrient deficiencies. During rescuing operations, authorities were criticized for favoring white people. Due to this, African Americans slowly began to switch loyalties from the Republican to the Democratic Party and contributed to the Great Migration. So, what were the adaptations to the floods? The floods showed officials that levees were not the best flood control, so they rethought their flood policy with the Flood Control Act. They put in a series of gates that were put into place in low-lying Louisiana to divert floodwaters. Money was then poured into a brand new levee system in the lower Mississippi Valley, as well as reservoirs intended to slow down runoff into streams and connecting rivers. The U.S. Army Corps engineers also cut into the river to create a straighter path to allow for smoother water transport into the Gulf. So, in summary, the Great Mississippi Flood was the worst flood in United States history due to its large area of destruction that resulted in newer and advanced flood policies, as well as a change of African American political views and population shifts. Even though policies have shifted, climate change is subjecting the river's flow, allowing for more frequent flooding, so it is possible in the years to come floods could reflect that of the flood of 1927. The end.